This video is made possible by the following sponsors. Make sure to check out their products as well as the rest of my gear in the description below.
Hey guys, GTR enthusiast here, and welcome back to Assetto Corsa Competizione for another video. So yes, finally, as you can see there on the banner at the top of the grandstands, we finally have the latest update from Assetto Corsa Competizione. Now that includes a couple of things. Firstly, technically two cars. They are both the same car, the Nissan GTR GT3 car, but one from 2015 and one from 2018. And it also includes the Monza circuit, which we're going to be driving at today. Now I do realise that pretty much every other sim racing YouTuber has done this video so far, but the thing that makes this video different is that I got the chance earlier on today to speak to a Mr. Florian Strauss, who you might know as the winner of the 2015 Bathurst 12 Hour, but has also driven both of these cars in real life, so it's interesting to get some proper insight from someone who's driven this car before, and I'm going to try and relay that to you as I drive around today. Specifically in this video, I'll be driving the 2018 version of the Nissan GT3 car, just because I've driven the 2015 one plenty of times in the previous Assetto Corsa. And that means, of course, that I get to roleplay as one of my favourite Spaniards, Lucas Ordóñez, who, of course, is my best friend in the entire world. The worst bit.
Jimmy's a loser.
Anyway, enough yapping. 10-minute race coming up from Monza. Let's see how this Nissan handles. Right, here we are then, rolling start, starting at the back of the grid, because last to first challenge is best challenge, and the first thing I'm going to do is do nothing. I'm going to shut up and let you guys hear the glorious noise this V6 twin turbo makes down the straight. Once again, the guys at Kunos absolutely smashing the sounds out the park as I smash into the back of the Ferrari as we get into a very expensive traffic jam coming down to the first chicane for the first time. I'm going to try and make my way through, try and sneak a couple of places. Well, you see I've got the little kind of Assetto Corsa style app on there on the screen. I don't usually have that kind of stuff on screen, but I found it very helpful considering I have no mirrors in this view. I'm using the dash cam view, the one that I prefer to drive with. So I'm making up a couple of places there. Kind of diving and ducking for slipstream right now as we come up to the second chicane. No bridge there anymore, which is very odd. Used to use that as a braking marker a lot, but of course now I've actually got to use the actual braking markers for the second chicane. Nice and easy through there on the power. They're letting the TC sort me out. Coming up to the first Lesmo for the first time. Roll it through in third gear. Tyres and brakes are still fairly cool right now, so the car not at its optimum performance, which I always say every time I drive this, but I absolutely love that in this game. You can't just go ham first lap. If you do, you end up just spearing off the course where your brakes just say, no mate, we aren't going to do that. Anyway, down the back straight now, coming up to Ascari. This Nissan's actually not that fast in a straight line. I've got the aggressive setup on, as it's called, which means I'm running pretty much no wing at all, but every other car still pulling away in a straight line. However, through these medium speed corners, the high speed corners, the car just gets better and you reel the guys back in again. Now, as I go over the course of this 10-minute race, I want to talk about the conversation that I had with Florian. I want to say, first of all, a massive thank you to Florian for taking some time out of his day to speak to me about this car. Just gave me the quick up and down. And the long and short of it is the 2018 car was a massive improvement from the 2014/2015 car. Engine lower as well, lower centre of gravity, engine a bit further back as well, meaning the car was actually a bit more agile in the lower speed corners, whereas before the low speed corners was probably the Nissan's biggest weakness. Nowadays it's actually pretty decent. The only thing it does struggle with, of course, it being having a lot of weight towards the front of the car. It's a front engine car, similar to, I guess, the AMGs and some of the other cars in the series, is that traction can be an issue. Florian was saying that when you're going out on fresh tyres, traction isn't that much, it's too difficult. The TC is quite good at that level, but as you start getting on in the race, the car becomes a bit more tricky and a bit more difficult to get on power. So he said that was probably the biggest weakness of the car, but not a bad weakness to have, really, where you can just really adjust that of your right foot as the race goes on. Otherwise, big aero advance as well. I mean, the car's just a lot better everywhere. But of course, at the same time, everyone else is having these upgrades, so it might seem like there hasn't been that much progress as I get out on the curb there. I love that feeling in the wheel. I can feel the car is about to escape me and I can correct it, which really is the important thing with this, I think. Anyway, let's go one more time. We've dropped back a little bit. We're going to try and shut up for a bit. Well, I say shut up. My version of shutting up, which is speaking slightly less. And see if we can catch up on these guys in front. There you go, nice through there. There's so much communication through the wheel in ACC. It really is very intuitive, and you know, I have no problem saying that these are the best GT3 cars available right now, I think. Bit of a toss-up between that and RF2, but the RF2 cars, in my mind, they slide a bit too much. These cars feel quite planted. That's what these cars are. You know, they're quite powerful, 500 horsepower or so, delivered to the rear wheels. TC there to try and help you out, but the RF2 ones tend to slide mid-corner. These don't. But you can feel if they're going to, and it happens very rarely. Anyway, 270 k's there on the speedo. We brake just after the 200. AI a bit slow going into T1, I see. I can always gain a lot of time. It might be because they're fighting, but I always find I gain. You see a lot of time on the guys there. Very sneaky, up behind the M6. Car on the outside there. He's probably going to out-drag me. For some reason, I just have no power in a straight line. No, he ducks in behind. I'm going to now take the inside line and say no. I'm keeping that now. Thank you very much, mate. But yeah, it's nice to see that ACC finally got this update out. I'm not really sure what the big delay was. I think it was just some issues with quality, etc. They wanted to make sure. It seems to run a lot better than it did before, I must say that. Although this is the first time I've not done one of these videos in VR, it's kind of nice to do it in standard every now and then, just to get an idea of how the game looks kind of in a more broader sense. And I must say, I've got the settings on, they're not the highest settings, I just make sure I get a solid 60 everywhere.
Still a long way to go.
Still a very pretty car, I think. Still a very pretty car indeed. I'm really looking forward to getting into some Enduros in these. I really need to try and convince Lucas or convince Florian to come play this game with me. I think I'm going to have a lot of convincing to do that, but we'll try it out. There you go. Getting a bit more confident now with throwing the car in. The car does feel very heavy at the front still. I should expect from this car as well. Just trying to dip into the slipstream now. There you go. Again, Florian saying this car was very decent in the faster corners because of its longer wheelbase. And the thing is, when you're doing sim racing, you don't really think about that kind of stuff a lot, I don't think. But then you realise, as I go terribly wide there at the Parabolica, oh well, at least I'll go a draft down the straight. You kind of realise that you don't, you know, this is what goes into building one of these cars, is making sure all that stuff is simulated properly. I thought about giving him a bump down the straight there, but it would have slowed me up a little bit, I think. So there he is on the inside still. We're now clear of him, and I'm going to brake at 175. The brake's really up to temperature now. Look, I can just really drive it into the apex. What a car this is. It sounds fantastic. It feels good. Of course, there is the... you have to try and avoid that, oh, it's new, it's fantastic thing, but it does genuinely feel very good, I must say. Oh, I can't wait until the multiplayer is sorted properly in this. I think at the moment it's still a bit broken from what I've heard. But I would love to get the multi going. Oh, Jesus, big curve. I know to have net code like this, where it's like racing AI would be unrealistic, but can you imagine how great that would be? I mean, I'll be playing this a lot if that happened. And I'm speaking for someone who doesn't really like GT3 cars, though I think actually my dislike from GT3 cars comes from the iRacing GT3s. So now getting a little bit leery over the curbs. The car is quite low around here, of course, because we have an aggressive setup. We're going for top speed, so curbs, I want to try and avoid them a little bit. You can kind of use them, but don't mount them the way I was. There you go. That's better. You can hear the front tyre scrubbing there. You feel it on the way in, but the car grips at the right place, so you're okay. Come on, GTR. Let's gain a bit, please. Oh, I do love this car. I know some people think the GTR is boring, but I've always loved the GTR. Always had a soft spot for it. Bit of a car weeb, me, I think. There you go. Trying to be a bit softer, trying to work with that traction control there. As with all the other cars, you have multiple different traction control maps to sort things out and make sure everything's okay. And I enjoy this one. This is good. Well, I might even get my 4 clean laps. Oh yeah, right. Braking ever later. The car gives me confidence to do that. Of course, you can't be unrealistic. You have to remember this car still weighs, I think, around 1,300 kilograms, which is still pretty damn heavy for a race car, but it doesn't feel like it does. Only in the long braking zones you kind of think, yep, got some mass there. Definitely large. And of course, having the upgraded aero on this 2018 car, something else Florian told me about, does assist with braking as you're starting to brake as well. Of course, as you start slowing down, the downforce peels off, and that effect is kind of negates itself really, but still very cool little details to talk about. I need to really drive the 2015 car after this and see what the difference really is. Maybe for another video though. There, yeah, that's better through there. You can feel a little bit of slip in the car, a little bit of slip. And I hate to use this phrase because I always hate when Gamer Muscle says it, but there is quite a subtle front end feel to the car, you know. And even so, I'm still managing to mount the curbs. Easy, easy. There you go. Now you get full throttle. Right, we're catching these Lambos. We're probably going to have one more lap left after this. It's just fun to drive laps in this car.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now. Give it all you can.
There you go. So final lap coming up. There you go. I do think that AI right now are on 98%, which I think is a good match for me. I do feel like sometimes they cheat a little bit, like they're really fast in a straight line, and like you see the Lambo there is actually actively braking in a straight line, and I'm not catching him.
Well done, mate.
Oh,
That's all fastest lap.
Fireworks out a bit early, mate. Need final lap now. Let's try and beat our best lap, shall we? Brake about as late as I dare to. Lambos are slow. Have to take avoiding action to not ram him in the back. Come on, who's got the grunt? It's going to be the Lambo, damn it! So weird seeing a Lamborghini and one of these cars on the same course. I feel so much higher than it. Oh, he swipes back in. I'm stuck on the outside line. It's going to be some late braking, I think. Trying to just get off the brakes a tiny bit. Ah, he comes back across. Still side by side with the AI. Still side by side with the AI. Now it's finally clear. I can go back in front. Take the line for the Lesmo. There you go, very nice. And it's kind of frustrating that the thing on the top right there punishes me for having to avoid a crash, but don't worry about it. There you go, nice. Now, one more place. We have to have a fantastic Ascari to get there. I don't think we're going to get it, but I'm going to give it a red hot go. Come on, slipstream. Heavy on the brakes, there we go. Third gear, throw it in. Very nice. Using all the curb and a bit of the gravel on the right there. That's about as close as I could be, I think, to cutting the corner there on both sides. Throw it into the parabolic. It's a bit late to catch that place, I think. But there you go, guys. That was 10 minutes in the new Nissan. Oh God, the Italians have invaded. In the new Nissan GTR 2018 GT3 car in ACC.
I'll bring the car back.
And I gotta say, thoroughly impressed. Every time I drive this game, it just seems to get better and better and better. And it makes me wonder why I don't play this game more, really. These races are always a blast to record and really fun to drive, and especially now as I've got a car that I really enjoy in the game, the Nissan. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the full release. I'm very much hoping that multiplayer can live up to this kind of racing. We'll have to wait and see, though. Well, there you are then, guys. As you watch the traffic jam in the background, I managed to come home in 19th place, which isn't really fantastic, but it's 10 places up from where we started, so not too bad, really. If you guys enjoyed the video, then make sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit subscribe and the bell notification icon to make sure you get notified of future videos and future streams. Again, I have to say a massive, massive thank you to Florian Strauss for taking time out of his day to tell me about how this car handles in real life. I've got to say, some of those characteristics you can definitely feel in game, so the guys at Kunos did a great job. Big thumbs up to my patrons and to my sponsors. Take care, have an awesome day, see you all next time.